About a year ago, we decided to lift my brand new Rubicon 392 and put on a fresh set of wheels and tires, to which the entire comment section absolutely berated me for going up to 40-inch tires. And you know that peer pressure when you're sitting around, your friends want you to do something that you probably shouldn't do, but you're just going to because the temptation's right there? Bigger than that. These 40s. Joe says 40s. And I think that might be a good idea. That's what happened, and we decided to put 40s on my brand new 392. So in this video, we're gonna discuss over the past year why this Jeep has kind of become an unruly creature on the road, and exactly what we've done today to fix it. 40s are a whole new animal. And at first we thought, you know what, let's do it. A lot of peer pressure from behind the camera, Ryan and all the other guys. We got this Jeep, we got a 392. Matt, you've done 37s. Your first Jeep had it. You've done 37s all the time, you know. Go a little bit bigger. This Jeep has the power. It's got the new full float rear axle. It's got the steel knuckles up front. It can take that big of a tire. It can handle it. It's got the big engine. It's got the horsepower for it. So in reality, it was like, shoot, let's go with it. You know, it fit, it went on the Jeep. A lot of you guys, when we first put those 40s on, ripped the thing apart. When I had stock fender flares and just the Clayton 3.5 lift, they were like, you took it way too far, or you should have stayed there. But the harsh reality is, the moment we put those 40s on, they were big. And I first noticed it, even with a 3.5-inch lift kit when we were backing out of the shop at Ben and Mike's. Probably, if my dad watches this, he might need to like do some more walking around the neighborhood, because when we backed out, his corner was like rubbing on the back. So Dad, you gotta shave a couple pounds off, just like we all do. But either way, pulling out of the shop, noticed right away we're rubbing. I had a plan for that. We drove down to Florida, we went through Ocala, we went through the beach, we had some fun with it, but it rubbed everywhere. Up travel, down travel, it was just, control arms were hitting, it was just rubbing all over the place. And I knew that we were gonna fix this. So phase 2 was all the moto-built armor, the Highline fender flares, the rock sliders, the tailgate, all of that to kind of open up everything to let the 40s have some more room to breathe, which it really did. And when we took it out to AOAA, it had a lot more ability to kind of flex out, stuff the 40s up a little bit more. But that's more or less the continuation of the problems. So running 40s, like I said, on your Jeep is a whole new animal. It doesn't just require the lift kit, the fender flare clearance, this, that, and the other. It just continues to add a laundry list of to-dos. And that's where I think we were at partially. So when we took it up to AOAA, the problem with this big of a tire is that you have to actually plan where you're actually gonna drive it, because with 40s, unless you have PSC or a hydro assist, you're not turning. So when you deflate the tires a little bit down to 10, 15 PSI, the stock or factory steering box, it really can't turn that big of a tire. So the problem was, as you get it stuck to the right, the wheels and tires that go to the right, now you need to take a left up an obstacle, it's not turning. I was in there, I mean, yanking on my steering wheel to try and get it to turn. So the next thought was, all right, we need to upgrade to PSC Hydro Assist steering, which is about $4,000 for a kit like that. And then I thought to myself, the next thing that's probably going to go by how aggressively I drive is a new set of axles. So a set of 40s, which we paid for, by the way, 40s, beadlocks, you're running $4 or $5 grand. To just have your Jeep to be able to actually run them performance-wise and not blow anything up and steer off-road, I don't know, Ryan, add another $20,000 on top of it. So we were in the midst of all that. I was really thinking in my head, what do I want to do with this Jeep? The harsh reality is we have so many Wranglers that we're building. We plan on adding a lot more to the fleet, and I do want to keep this one for a long time. So really the question was, do I pony up and invest another $20,000 into this Jeep to make it handle the 40s, PSC Hydro Assist, beadlocks, I mean it already has beadlocks, but full axles, everything underneath there, and make it even crazier? Or do we make this a vehicle that we can drive, we can enjoy, it becomes actually more off-road capable and do what we did today? So I noticed this problem about 4 or 5 months ago. We had about 6,000 miles on the tires, and I started to notice a vibration. We were getting a front end steering vibration that started about 48 miles an hour and was like ending at 55. The problem with that is like everywhere around us is a 50-mile-an-hour speed. So you're driving along and I'm talking just wobbling. Well, you can see it right here, right? About 51, 53 miles an hour. We start to get the shimmy. It's something in the tire. This is like not bad when I turn the steering stabilizer to soft. it goes nuts. Or like if it's a cold morning, like look at that. You can feel it in the front end. If it's really like cold in the morning, or the tire pressures, or it's sat for a little bit and gets a little bit of a flat spot, when I get into the Jeep, it's just... I'm thinking to myself, all right, we've added steering, we've added all this other stuff. Could it be in alignment? Does it need a little bit of adjustment with the control arms, the caster, with the camber? We pulled it all into B&M to locked and loaded, checked everything. The alignment was perfect, the toe was perfect, the camber was perfect. Well, not camber, the caster was perfect. Pulled the wheels and tires off, tried to balance one of them on the front. It said it would needed like 50 ounces. Normally they need like 6 to 8. 50 ounces, a couple pounds of weight. Tried to get it on the road force, it kept erroring out. We put them back and forth, we were trying to move them back and forth, and just nothing was solving the problem. Didn't matter how much weight you added, beads inside, bags, whatever you wanted to add, the tires were getting really like kind of chalked up. So basically you were having one tread that was lower than the other, and that just consisted across the entire tread pattern and was giving a vibration between those speeds. I don't want to rip on the tires too bad, and obviously B&M Off-Road, they're experts with all of this, and they can dial anything in. It was a fault with the Mickey Thompson tires, and they are warrantying them. So we've got 2 new 40s coming for the front wheels, and they will be replaced under the warranty, which that's why I'm not going to rip it, because anything can have a chance of doing this. The problem just became, is this really made my Jeep just not fun to drive. I mean, I do daily it, I drive it all the time, we're all over, we're driving thousands of miles to shows and events, and getting in it was just almost miserable. It was extremely wide, it lost a lot of power. I only got pulled over once, a lot of people were asking about that, but the tire poke was probably 12 inches sticking out of there, and it really all came down to that. You know, I drive around with my wife and kids in this Jeep. I really wanted it. Like, as much as I love 40s, as much as I love the wide poke, I knew what we'd have to do to this Jeep. And I think to do the next step of doing axles, the PSC, the Hydro Assist, all that stuff, $25,000, and then it's almost like you have to trailer it everywhere. So I've now taken this Jeep and turned it into a trailer off-road rig that I can't drive down the highway. And yeah, I just, like I said, I lost a lot of the fun of driving it, and I knew what the solution was. So ultimately, what we decided to do is make the drive down to Ben and Mike at B&M Off-Road and pick up a set of 37s, specifically 37 by 12.5 by 17 Mickey Thompson Baja Boss AT. Before I go any further, you might be asking, why'd you go back with a Mickey Thompson after this warranty issue? We've never had issues with Mickey Thompson. In fact, Ryan runs this tire on his Jeep. We've got it on the 2-door and now on mine, and we love this tire. But we didn't just stop there. We decided to add on a new set of wheels too. So I've been kind of eyeing up some different wheels. I had bead locks on here. I had the KMC Grenade Crawls. There's actually one sitting over there against the wall that was the spare. A 3.5-inch backspace, so very, very wide poked out. A beadlock wheel, which you can lower to super crazy low PSI, but they require a lot. I'm very familiar with beadlocks. I'm familiar with mounting them, dismounting them, balancing them, every problem that comes with them. If you guys aren't familiar with beadlocks, it's basically on a normal wheel and tire, there's a lip on the edge of the wheel. The inner tire bead sits against that lip, and that's just how it mounts. The purpose of a beadlock is that on the outer edge of the wheel, there is no lip on the inside of the wheel, and the beadlock ring clamps the tire bead to the wheel. So that's the only thing holding your outer side of your tire on, is that bead lock clamping on there. Beadlocks are very precision based. There are a ton of injuries that happen every year from people not knowing how to balance them, not knowing how to mount up the bolts, or doing improper maintenance. One of my good friends on Facebook actually said he knew somebody, and I've read them too before, where you don't torque them down the right way and the rings blow off. I've heard collarbones breaking, arms breaking. It's insanity. There's a lot of weight, a lot of power to these things. And let's just be honest, I'm driving around with my wife and kids in this. So I wanted something that was gonna last the sands of time, or last a little bit longer, and then also require a little bit less maintenance for me. I was going around and retorquing all of my beadlock rings probably religiously every 1,000 or 2,000 miles. So get out there, grab 24 bolts and do a star pattern. And yeah, it's maintenance, but also the same token is that really what I want to drive on daily? Do I want to drive 1,000 miles to Florida in 3 weeks on something that I have to maintain and make sure that nothing comes loose at 75 miles an hour while I'm driving down the road? And that's why we changed it up for the look that we have today. Well, here they are, guys. 37-inch, 12.5 by 17 Mickey Thompson Baja Boss AT with a -38 offset on the KMC full polished and machined IMS wheel. I chose this wheel specifically after we took a trip out to America's Most Wanted 4x4 last year. They actually have KMC make this kind of wheel for them in a beadlock version, and I just really love the look of it. I decided to also go with a machine just to change things up a little bit. We do have a lot of machine features on here, including the full 2.5-ton RPM steering. We've got the bare aluminum on the inside, silver all throughout, and I just think the machine look does look a little bit cleaner. Plus, I don't know, I just wanted to change it up a little bit. We had black with the machine. I didn't think bronze would look as good on this because I don't have as many bronze accents. But this is what we got. It's quite a bit smaller. I'm not going to lie to you. When we first put it on, I walked out to the shop and was kind of like, what have I done? This Jeep looks like way smaller than I'm used to. My dad brought up a good point in the car. He's like, yeah, your Jeep looked like a Hot Wheels car, though. It was just massive. The wheels and tires were massive on the thing. So anything is going to look a little bit smaller. But now pulling it into the yard here in the shop, and I'm happier with the way that it looks. We've got a ton of clearance on here, so much so that, man, you guys are really going to rip me apart. I'm even debating dropping it down to a 2.5-inch lift instead of a 3.5, just to make it a little bit lower. And then we do have some other plans with some longer control arms. I don't want to give away completely what we're doing, but I don't know. I don't think you guys are going to rip me too hard in the comments. I'm hoping not, but also, you know, it doesn't make me sleep worse at night. So if you guys hate the way that the Jeep looks now, I'm sorry about that, but I think that this was a good move, and I think a lot of you guys that had comments to say when the 40s were too big, you're going to say, told you so, and that's the thing about doing this stuff is we bought those wheels and tires, we tried them out for a year, it didn't go exactly the way we planned, so we bought another set of wheels and tires to try them out. And the other thing is, we can just sell those wheels and tires, and we've got these ones sitting here and ready to go. And why not change them out every year? We're driving to Daytona in a few weeks, and as we're getting everything ready, I just figured, why don't we put something on here that's a little bit more streetable, a little bit more enjoyable for me to drive, and that also still looks really clean. So the Mickey Thompson Baja Boss does a great job at all that. I think they are snowflake rated on here, but they're a very quiet tire that still looks, I don't know, this tire still looks like a mud terrain, in my opinion, from the sidewall and then even all the tread here. I've run all the Baja Boss MTs, Coopers, every single tire. These are probably by far one of my favorite all-terrains, and in fact, Ben wouldn't let me pick anything else. He had a set of Falcons in stock, and he said, Matt, I'm not letting you put those on his Jeep, but a little bit less poke too. So you can really see it on the back here. Well, when I say a little bit, like that's a lot less poke. The tires were almost completely out of the Jeep. This actually sucks it up under a little bit. So I'm trying to see if I can go maybe just a little bit lower with the lift, 2.5, drop it an inch, get that more low center of gravity for it. And to be quite honest with you, 37s on this will perform 20 times better than the 40s off-road, without all those other goodies I said. So if I would have had PSC steering, new axles, all this other fun stuff, the 40s would have been even better, and then you go to 42s, which are bigger. But right now, the way this Jeep sits, this will outperform those 40s night and day. I'll be able to turn, I'll be able to articulate. So I'm excited to see how this thing does. I mean, just driving it home was like driving a brand new vehicle, and honestly, I felt like the Jeep gained like 100 horsepower. I swear to God, it felt like it. It really felt like the Jeep just lost so much weight by taking those 40s off. Just the rotational mass of that tire, how wide it was poked out. It made a ton of difference. And yeah, I'm not tall, so getting in and out was also easier. Putting little guy in the car seat was a lot easier. And then also, like, dropping this tailgate, it's now kind of at like a, I don't know, like a reasonable height. It used to be, it was high. I mean, I couldn't even barely reach in, but now I can actually reach in here a little bit easier. It makes the Jeep more functional, which I'm a huge fan of, and yeah, for everyone that said I should have went 37s, I guess this is your redemption. So let me know in the comments, is the 37s what I should have ended with or just stopped with when I first did this build? And I think after that, you're going to say you shouldn't have done flares and all the other stuff. But we've got a lot of cool plans for this Jeep yet, and some future plans for it. We have this one in the shop. We've got a couple more things to do to it, to Ryan's Jeep, and then also the 41 build. If you guys have been missing out on that, we've got a lot going on with that. Just parts are on order, and we're waiting on them. You're waiting on the interior to get done. We got some really, really cool stuff coming for the interior that we can't talk about right now, but I'm hoping it's here in like the next week and we can get it on before Daytona. Also, if you guys are going to be down in Daytona, we will have meet and greets posted on our Facebook, on the Instagram, as well as the 41 build will be at the Distinction Applied booth on the infield. We'll be at the nightly events. We'll be at the Tiki Party. So reach out to us via Instagram, via Facebook, or just look for those meet and greets, and we would love to meet all you guys there. But Yeah, huge shout out to Locked and Loaded 4x4 and B&M Off-Road for putting up with all of our crazy nonsense. And not only that, but for really caring about their customers and caring about what they put into their vehicles. When I first brought up any little issue with the 40s, it was an instantaneous, they dropped everything, let's figure it out, let's see what's going on. Those guys are our go-to, and it's always a shameless plug for them, but they do great prices. B&M Off-Road on the wheels and tires, so reach out through our wheel and tire quote. And then if you're looking to get work done, Locked and Loaded 4x4, they hooked it up with the Clayton lift kit on here and put everything on, and everything drives phenomenally. That is in their control. Tires being out of balance and not being a perfect mold, it's not in their control, and they did everything to fix it and make it right, which I absolutely love those guys. So huge shout out to them. If you don't mind, give them even a follow on Instagram. Reach out to them for all your needs. Even if you're far away, wheels and tires, they can ship anywhere. So, and we're also still shipping out a ton of floor lights. So we have a cool new product about to launch. If you're in Daytona, that's where you're going to be able to buy it first. So come find us at Daytona and you'll be able to pick that up. We'll let you know on Facebook and Instagram what it is. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to go drive this Jeep and enjoy it. Ryan's behind the camera. I'm here talking to you, and we want you to get out there and earn yours.